Myths of the Machine is brought to you by our sponsor, Mighty Man Limited. Be a master of the universe when you wear Mighty Man Limited athletic and sportswear, custom-designed athletic compression gear for male and female athletes, compression shirts, sports bras, yoga pants, hoodies, and more. Available only at mightyman.logosoftware.com. Be mighty. Since the time when men gathered around campfires and told tales of the warriors who challenged the monsters that gather in the dark. The mighty men who fought alongside the gods, some rising to victory, others falling to the abyss. These are the heroes who became the myths of the machine. Kidnapped by a zombie. That's how it began, this bizarre life he's led these many years, Sean Willis. While a student in elementary school in Upper Manhattan, he had been kidnapped by a zombie that had its nest in the basement of the very institution where Sean and his young friends attended class. While some might believe this was a rare and unlikely event, Sean had come to learn during a lifetime of paranormal adventures, over 1 million people disappeared, just like he would have that day, every year. Sean got lucky back in the 4th grade. He was lucky because his pal, Daniel Lyons, who lived down the hall from Sean in the Sherman Houses projects, witnessed the zombie assault and abduction. Sean was luckier still. His buddy Daniel found someone who not only believed Dan's seemingly made-up story, but also knew exactly how to go about getting Sean back. Their classmate, James Veracco, Jimmy V. Jimmy V was the kid in the class who knew all the crazy things about space and science. He'd argue with the teachers, telling them they were wrong about the existence of vampire bats, long before we'd seen that National Geographic show. The next day in class, everybody knew what was coming. Our teacher would make her angry apology, admitting her wrong, but then spend the rest of the day castigating young Jimmy for any slip-up. It only made his victory that much sweeter. Daniel told 2 others, and soon he was joined by Lisa A., Lisa B., and Lisa C., the 3 girls named Lisa, who would always be known by their alphabetic classroom seat-placing names. And Irv, who only talked about Star Trek, were being led through our school's utility basement, the inner works, the coal bins, the storage rooms, all the way back to the sealed bomb shelters, filled with supplies for after a war with Russia or China. Jimmy V and his sidekick, Irv, always said it would be aliens who would attack us, not the Russians. They would be our allies in World War III. But that was crazy talk, or so we thought. But there we were, the Spook Patrol, on our very first mission, to rescue me. 4th graders are a loyal lot. When the bomb shelter door cracked open and the light peered in, I'd been tied up and gagged by the zombie and a spider web-like substance vomited from his mouth. Jimmy V called it ectoplasm. The movies called it slime. My friends' faces were wide-eyed masks of shock, and only Jimmy V and Irv were not unnerved by the sight their young eyes beheld. They could see I was bound, hand and foot, on a pile of what I thought were broken toys, or possibly lumps of coal. I never thought they were dried bones of the zombies or the victims, less fortunate as I. Jimmy moved quickly, handing Irv 2 candles, as he placed 2 of his own lit candles at the 4 points around to immobilize the creature of putrefying flesh. While Irv struggled with his matches, the creature began to stir, and what I would come to learn was a binding circle, not yet complete, would not yet restrain the creature as planned. Jimmy V pulled a necklace from under his sweater. It was an American Indian snake charm, and he held it over the zombie, paralyzed the creature as Irv lit the last candle, and the zombie collapsed as if dead again, as it should have been. It would remain unanimated, the arcane forces powering the dead flesh, blocked by the candle's own magic powers. Jim and Irv moved quickly, like they had done this before. Jim poured white salt into the green tooth maw of the undead thing. Irv, with the steady hand of a seamstress, sewed shut the putrid lips of the flesh-eating thing. It spasmed as the powers unleashed by the purifying salts purged the corpse of mystic energies, quickly desiccated and reduced to a fine powder. The dead man, returning to his due rest of ages. The ectoplasm webbing hardened and cracked and broke away, freeing me from its magical bonds. Daniel pulled a fire alarm near the zombie's lair as we hightailed it back to the auditorium before the weekly film ended and our mates returned to their respective classes. For the rest of the 4th grade, we'd follow Jimmy V and Irv as the Spook Patrol to the Dutchman's haunted mansion in the center of our New York neighborhood, the sorcerer's monastery that operated disguised as a museum, and the subway Sasquatch that plagued the A-train. Jimmy V and Irv always talked about strange stuff like it was real, because it was real. And when we all went our separate ways, that June, all anybody could think about was getting back together again in September to begin more adventures. Jimmy V disappeared that summer. Not just him, but his whole family disappeared, like they were never even here. Lisa A., Lisa B., and Lisa C. were sure Jimmy V's mom was a witch, but Irv said it wasn't true. He was pretty sure Jimmy was exactly what he told everybody he was, an android, a type of robot that looks and acts just like a real person. I'm not too sure of that. I remember the time his pet died, and he broke down in class thinking about it. Believing a boy was an android was one thing. Believing an android could cry, well, that was right out of comic books. You don't easily forget being kidnapped as a dinner entree for a zombie too quickly. Like never. And I've been on Spook Patrol ever since. Irv got a job with NASA, and he insists he's part of the secret space program, and he was the first black man to step foot on Mars in 5,000 years. Lisa B. and Lisa C. gave up the adventure before college, moved away decades ago. I occasionally see Lisa A. She kept a copy of our old class newspaper from our industrial arts elementary school with the zombie had kidnapped me, where our zombie tale was labeled phone news long before anybody ever heard of the cable news network. We laugh about it. Nobody would ever believe the truth about what happened that day in elementary school. Nobody would ever believe why I was here now, in the Queen City of the Sound, the American home of the Huguenots, the hotbed of magic energy and activity. The Strix Consortium now had control of the magically empowered municipality. Every 7 years, by colonial-era compact, the inconspicuous suburban city would silently switch from hidden hand to hidden hand. The Strix Consortium, the Master Builders, and the Daughters of the Serpent, a triad now that 2 of their elements, their magic pinnacle, had gone extinct, the Sons and the Daughters of the Midnight Sun, ancient orders bent on controlling mystic energies at the very heart of the city. But the Strix, the Master Builders, nor the Serpent's daughters would ever manipulate for their own ends the mighty power once I've stolen from them the relic, the body of the Founding Father, Thomas Paine.